Hey guys, Cam for 15, back at it with another video for you guys, back with another My Hero Academia episode review for you guys, as I am going solo this week, maybe next week for the Hellish Todoroki family backstory stuff, because my co-host, the Red Wolf, he is out on his Thanksgiving break in Mexico. So he's already left, and typically when it comes to him being in Mexico, he's not able to come out and do the video, but that's where I come in. Anyways, it sucks that he's not in here because this was the last battle. Uh, this was the ending, our final battle of the series, with it coming to its conclusion with I think us having about I think 4 or 3 more episodes left of this show to go. And for me reading the manga again, I really do have to wonder how they're going to end the show off, because there actually is an extended ending off on the initial ending. Because look, people were fucking complaining, for anime only's people who don't know. People in the manga complained about the original or the initial ending to the series and thought it was a bad ending. And obviously, Horikoshi kind of went back, gave us an extra epilogue chapter, and kind of just explained some more points to end the story off and things like that. So do they do it? I don't know. The next episode is titled Epilogue, so I do wonder if they're going to cover the last few bits of the present stuff. Then you'll see what happens a little bit down, and then hopefully we get the epilogue chapters, or hopefully we get that last epilogue chapter that officially concludes the series and stuff like that. So hopefully they do that, unless they decide to do an OVA episode of it. That could be the only thing, but with the fact that the next episode is titled Epilogue, I would probably expect the epilogue, the final chapter, the extended final chapter, to be an episode. So yes. But anyways, this was the final episode in terms of the battle between Deku and, I guess you can say, One for or All for One. Or really, realistically, this is the final battle of One for All versus All for One. If you remember from last week, Deku was successful in the transmitting One for All into Shigaraki's body to break down that barrier, to try to get him to realize the errors of his ways, right, and shut him down from the inside. But that only awakened the All for One dormant personality in him to take over completely. And that is basically, and we even get confirmation in this episode by the end that the Shigaraki personality was completely dead. Like, All for One completely took over the body of Shigaraki and basically killed the killed whatever was left inside Shigaraki's body. So like legitimately was dead. It was only just the vestige of Shigaraki. So, and then we obviously got the ending to the last week's episode, where you had basically your Avengers Endgame moment, where all the people that can still fight are going through the portal, and basically, you're getting this Avengers level fight here where everybody's working together to try to take down the one big bad, like how in Avengers Endgame, they were all working together, albeit to go up against all of Thanos' army, but mostly to stop Thanos, right? So you can kind of see where Horikoshi definitely got inspiration off of this, final battle and the way it concluded here, with the fact of, in a weird way, Deku is Iron Man, with the exception of the fact that he did not die at the end of the fight. And then everybody else is, everybody else coming to the portals are all the heroes, that definitely got dusted, or any of the last remaining Avenger characters that didn't get dusted, they were left over, and they basically are here to help and push Deku through to get to All for One to finish him off for all, right? Now, obviously we had that great moment and everything, so Deku's trying to get back up to get back and help everyone fight, but see, he still is a little bit worn out because Aizawa basically tells him like, hey man, the rewind only worked up to the point where you lost your arm, so any battle damage that you had, well, it's still there, right? Your body's still exhausted from all the battle damage you had with Shigaraki. So he's still, it's like as if, so essentially, it's like before he went back into the Vestige world, I think with Shigaraki before he clashed. It's just the difference is he has no one for all, right? Now, in the meanwhile, while everybody's coming together to help fight All for One's looking at this and he's like, these are just mere ants. These are mere peasants. These are mere these. It's just trash. But they keep coming back like they're cockroaches, and they just won't die. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to kill all of them in one fell swoop, right? So he basically kind of merges the quirks he has within Shigaraki together. Has like this weird like android-like appearance type of thing. And essentially he's like, well, it's time for all of you to die, right? But obviously, with all the heroes there, they're already ready to go, and you just have it to where President Mike is like, "All right, everybody, this is it. This is the final battle we have to do. This is the final battle we have to win, right?" So, essentially, what you have happened is Deku's trying to stand up and again go to fight, but Aizawa's like again telling him like, "Bro, you're exhausted." Now, this is when Deku tells Aizawa like, "Hey, man, I don't got all for one. No, all for one. I don't got one for all anymore. That's basically it. And I was always shocked. He's like, wait, you don't got your quirk? And Deku's like, well, I still do have one for all. The only thing I have left of one for all is basically the Emperor's. And basically, he tells Aizawa, like, it's kind of like that time when All Might fought against All for One back in season 3. Albeit he already gave the quirk away to Deku, he still had those embers still left within him to continue to fight and continue to use the quirk, right? So Deku realizes, okay, I still have power to fight. I still have power to help. So basically, the whole part of the episode, you just have it to where Deku's running, right? And everybody else is covering him to get to All for One to defeat him once and for all. And it was a really it was really good moments because you have all these characters that, Deku has, and it's mostly just 1A characters that are featured, class 1A characters that are featured helping him. But, it's just characters that you see over the course of the series who may have been an antagonist, may have been a rival to Deku, all find their ways to help him. Now, throughout this whole thing, you do get moments of you see characters from the past. Now, some of the heroes who are fighting to try to take down All for One and at least pin him down, most of their attacks are not working because it's just straight up not working. The dude's just negating them off and batting them down like flies, right? We do have a moment where a portal opens up. We see we see Endeavor and Todoroki end up showing up, and they use their Flash Fire Fist to try to pin down All for One. And we do get a flashback to how they ended up going there. And they obviously received the communication about, hey, if there's any heroes that can still fight, please, we need you to help in this final battle against Shigaraki, right? And you just have it to where Fuyumi and Ray, they're passed out after the fight with hold on. Sorry for that. With Ray and Fuyumi from the battle with Dabi, they're basically passed out. They got these pretty bad burns, and you even see if you watch the next episode preview, you see like clearly the burns are pretty bad on their faces at the point they actually had to bandage their up, and you don't really know if like those burns will heal. So kind of in a weird way, it's a full circle moment type of thing where you see how Shota was the one family member in the family that had the burns. Now it looks like all the other family members are going to have those burns and those scars from Dabi and this whole incident, which is a crazy kind of like full circle moment of the whole thing of like, well, now they're all on the same level, they're no different, and it just goes to show you the pain and suffering that this family has gone by. Now, Natsuo tells Endeavor, like, look, dude, you can still fight. If anything, you owe it to Mom and Fuyumi to continue to fight. So your job's not done, right? And Todoroki, he basically comes in the background and is like, I can still fight too, and I need to help Deku out. So they basically, fight, um, and everything. They get pulled away thanks to Sero using his tape. And basically at the same time, you just have it to where some of the heroes are telling All For One, like, you don't understand, like, what keeps us going on and pushing, because All For One is just struggling to understand, like, why are these dudes are exhausted. These dudes have legitimately, these dudes legitimately have, no chance at winning, and these guys are exhausted. They're on basically reserves, or if anything, just straight up, they're just got nothing left, and these dudes are still going at me like as if they think they got a chance. And see, that's when he starts to realize, because at the same time he's trying to stop Deku from advancing to him, right? And then that's when he realizes, that Deku is the person that keeps everybody going. He is the one hero that, inspires people, to be better heroes, to keep pushing on, through adversity. And even if you got nothing left, you're gonna push through because he's inspiring others. Because if he can do it, well, then what's to say I can't freaking do it either, right? So you have many characters. So you have all these other characters, you see help out with Deku. Like, again, you have one moment, where All For One realizes, I gotta take this guy out, because if I kill him, their will is done, their will is broken, I win. So he fires off like this freaking like hyper beam, bro. Hagakure gets in here and she blocks that shit, and she's redirecting that attack, and she's just like, and Deku's like, Hagakure, and he's like, don't worry, I got this, I can handle this, you keep going on, right? So Deku lets Hagakure go on and go handle this, right? And Deku's also trying to maneuver I guess you could say the tentacles, realistically. You have Shoji and Sue, they grab him, and they're like, hey, conserve your strength, save your strength, don't worry, we got you, right? And everything. And then you see on the TV, or you see as though everybody's watching TV, you get some of the characters that have the connection. So you see Sue's family, looking at Sue doing, they're like, oh, her siblings are like, hey, it's Sue, and they're just like, please be okay, Sue, do it, Sue. And then for Shoji, you have the one girl he saved in his backstory. She was there, and she straight up said, like, you can do it, Shoji. So they managed to push him. They're like, hey man, you got to keep going. So they push him through. He, All For One's firing projectile attacks. All the other characters get in the way. They're like, hey man, conserve your strength. You keep going, man, right? And then what's his face? You have it to where it looks like he's gonna get blocked. You have it where Kaminari, Jesus, Kaminari, not Kaminari, Kirishima, I forgot the other character that also blocked there too. They're blocking. They're like, keep going, Deku. You see the people that obviously are related to those characters too, or had impacts in their past lives as well, speak about it, right? And then you just continue to have it. Now we do cut over to All Might, or one, we do cut over to some people, right? We cut over to, like, for example, we cut over to Hawks and Hawks, Hawks' side. They're watching it off the phone because dude has it off his, Tokoyami has the fight on his phone, and he's basically saying, do it, Deku, you can do it, right? We cut over to All Might, and the Star and Stripe dudes are taking care of him and helping him get back. And basically the one dude is like, so I guess this was Star's plan all along, huh? And obviously All Might is just like, in a way, yes, I guess, but it's mostly because those kids and the resiliency to not give up and everything, right? And then you just get this montage of, and one, the crazy part where I marked out, I almost started crying because I'm like, when I was reading the manga, I'm like, dude, I can only imagine this moment. They start playing "You Say Run," bro. When they hit the "You Say Run" theme, I'm just like, bro, I'm like, dude, I ain't gonna cry, bro. I'm not crying. I'm tearing up even just talking about it right now, right? Anything goes with "You Say Run," and I knew when I was reading the manga, I'm just like, bro, I can only imagine when we get this part in the anime, they're gonna play "You Say Run" because that's the most iconic song in all of MHA. And on top of it, this is like Deku's shining moment here because again, the episode is titled Izuku Midoriya Rising, right? And typically when you get those rising at the end, that means this is the big moment. This is the I am here moment for said character, right? And this is what this episode was. This was Deku's I am here moment. And sadly, more than likely, probably, even but yeah, I am here. This is probably it of me because I ain't gonna have one for all after this, right? But when I heard "You Say Run," now they cut it up into pieces. I wish they played the full song. They cut it up into different things. But regardless, you hear "You Say Run," and I don't care if you're whether you're a diehard or you've been entranced with the series. If that don't hit you in some sort of way to the point it's getting you tearing up, even to the point like I'm talking about, I'm starting to get teared up again because that's how great the moment was, bro. As you seen Deku run, right? And All For One or All Might talking about how the Class 1A has inspired him and how they are great heroes and everything. And you just have it to where you get this montage. Everybody, Deku looks like he's gonna trip over, but then you have it to where this time, just like how Deku was there for jeez, how can I forget these damn characters, man? Oh my goodness, Ida. Just like how when in season 2, Deku was there to pick up Ida. Ida's there to pick up Deku before he's about to fall down. He's like, "Hey man, keep going." And you were right. And essentially he was thinking internally, he's like, Ochako was right about your name. And if you remember from season 1, Ochako said, "Deku, that I like that nickname, and I think that nickname doesn't mean you can do it, right?" And you just get this montage of all these characters watching this and seeing this, where they're just chanting on Deku saying, "You can do it," right? You cut over, and then, again, I was marking on the manga when this happened. In this part of the anime, we cut to all 4 characters that were basically the main side characters to Deku, right? To Deku in the movies. You see Melissa, who we've already seen multiple times in this series, right? Melissa saying "You can do it." The 2 kids from Heroes Rising, saying "You can do it." Rhodey, who's watching the fight with his siblings, are you saying "You can do it, hero," right? Because that whole thing, because he didn't believe in heroes until he met Deku. Then you had it to where the characters in the last movie, you're next. What is I already forgot their names. They're saying like "You can do it," right? They're not saying like "Oh, you can do it, Deku," but I did like that moment where that essentially makes it to where the movies and when they had that in the manga, I'm like, so that means the movies are actually canon to the series. And realistically, they are canon. The movies are canon to the main series because you can actually fit in the movies in certain points. Again, the first movie, it takes place after season 2, just before season 3 starts. The second movie takes place like after season 4, or some point in between season 4, right? The third movie takes place definitely during season 5, and then the last movie takes place just before seasons 7 and 8 with the final fight against All For One and Shigaraki, or the paranormal liberation front, right? Before the Second War arc, right? And it's so crazy. And you're having all these characters, watching on the screen. You can do it. You have Eri and Kota saying "You can do it, Deku." What is it? Do you cut over to the helicopter and you see where I think it's Pixie Bob. She's like, "Hey, Ochako, we're almost there to the hospital, but just to let you know, here's what's going on." And Ochako's watching or seeing Deku run, and she starts to get emotional and she starts to cry, and she does say like, "You can do it, Deku." And then it all kind of caps off. Um, it caps off with Izuku's mom come running in saying like, "You can do it, Izuku," as he's gearing up to do. He says just smash. I think it's just a Detroit smash, just a regular smash, or I guess if you want to say it, one for all smash, right? And then in the meanwhile, right, we cut back over to All Might, and he's just reminiscing about all the moments and all the time he spent with Deku and everything, right? And he recalls like from the moment he first met him and how much Deku has impacted him in his life and everything. And he basically caps it off saying like, Deku is his hero, which that hits, man. That hits. That a dude who looked up to him is already saying like, no, I was more inspired from you than you were about me, and for that you're my hero, right? So Deku gears up for this one attack. He gears up. He hits All For One, and All For One starts to break apart. You see the quirks start breaking apart, and it looks like Deku has done it. He has defeated All For One. But All For One is not giving up, and he's like, no, 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 this is not how it's going to end, right? And obviously the reason too why Deku was able to do that is we find out like he had just enough, or actually I'll get into that in a bit, right? But because of him training his body, and even Deku's like, it's only been, even though it's been even though it's been a few months, right? I trained my body up so much to where I can be able to do basically like legitimately he's got to be going like 100% one for all right here, like. And the fact like it's only been a few months, but because I focused in on this quirk and I left enough of this quirk for me to use, I'm able to go all out and to use it and to defeat you, right? Now, All For One is like, no, I'm not letting this end like this. This can't end. So he starts trying, and the thing is, we realize like his regeneration doesn't work on this body. Like it's not working because there's too many quirks at use, right? That he was using, so it's not working. But he actually tries to bring himself back by using the quirks and everything. And he's like, no, no, no. I gotta take a vessel. I gotta get a vessel. And you know what? He ain't got one for all no more. I'm gonna take his vessel, right? So Deku gets back up. He's charging in and he's going back in for the final blow. You have it to where you have it to where Shirakumo, he finally does his thing and he's like, "Hey, Azawa, pop, dude, it's been fun." And he basically, puts a barrier because, at that moment, All For One was gonna find a way to use, basically take control of Deku's body, and by dude blocking it off, it doesn't happen. He's like, "Give back Tomura Shigaraki," right? And then out of the blue, Bakugo shows up, right? And he does his thing, and they're like, "Wait, how did you get here?" He's like, "Todoroki created a ledge for me to fly here," right? And it gave enough time for, Deku to basically be able to not get hit by All For One and everything. Basically, Baku is like, "Don't let me pass you up again, Deku," right? And then basically Deku again does that one for all smash, defeats All For One and everything. And on top of it, again, he does say like that's the whole thing, but see, the other users come in, including Shigaraki, and they basically not only punch, Deku's punching from the outside, they're punching him from the inside in the Vestige world, thus defeating All For One once and for all. And that's it. And basically, Deku, as he's saying, he's like, "Listen, All For One, I don't forgive you for what you've done, but I think I understand what you're about." And he basically calls All For One like, "Bro, all that's what you is, you just a lonely ass man." And you cut back into the Vestige world, and you see All For One looking at a little fragment of Yoichi, and he's like, "Yoichi," and he's like, "Yoichi, come back to me, let me see your face." And he's like, "Sorry, brother, It's over. It's over. You won't see my face. I'm going to fade away. And All for One's like, no, you're not going to fade away. You're going to stay with me this entire time, right? And obviously, All for One is, just like begging for his brother. And Yoichi's like, you see, brother, I tried to convince you to change the errors of your ways. I tried to help you, but you didn't take my advice and you didn't take my hand. And for this is what is going to happen to you, and this is the repercussions of your actions. And you just have All for One basically screaming in pain, not only as he's fucking dying, but he knows he's never gonna see, he's never gonna see Yoichi again. And I also forgot to mention, Deku, before he called All for One a lonely man, he said, "Dude, you ain't no damn demon lord, brother. You're just a lonely man," which that's a crazy line to freaking spout at that man. For the fact that this man was proclaiming himself as a demon lord. Deku's not wrong. Like, the dude is a lonely man because guess what? It's in his name. All for one, right? He only cares about himself and he's only lonely. He didn't value anybody else. Yes, he said he valued Yoichi. Yoichi was his, but he only saw him as an attachment. He didn't see him as an actual person, you know? And that's what I think he didn't truly understand, right? He truly didn't understand. He truly didn't get, like, the people around you. That's what, and your influence on them can only help. Could have Deku in some alternate reality be there for All for One and convince him to change. And maybe he gets inspired by Deku to change his ways. Don't know. But you see the differences in between somebody like a Deku and somebody like an All for One, right? In Deku's case, he had all these people around him, supporting him from the very jump when it came to his mom, supporting him, even though, he knew he was quirkless, right? All these other people, all the friends in his life, even some of his toughest rivals, always backing him. Some of the enemies he went up against, backing him. Because we even have in a moment in this episode, you see where he takes gentle criminals, air things to shoot up, right? To go do the final punch. Deku has all these people that not only influences him, but they are influenced by him too. And he had all those people, and that did not make him lonely. Albeit he started off the series quirkless, he had at least one person with him. And then he ended up running into All Might, another person. And then he got One for All. And then it only created more people around him. More people he can consider friends. Right? More people he can consider allies that he knows. Albeit All for One, he lived alone. All he had was his brother that he didn't really value. He only valued him as an attachment. And he only had his own end game in sight. And that's just, how can I rule the world? And he didn't have somebody with him pushing him that can open the doors for other people to come into his circle and embrace him. And again, he didn't really do that. He manipulated a lot of people, which pushed people away. And that was the errors of, All for One. He focused so much in on himself that at the end of the day, he's all by himself now. He's lonely. Yoichi's gone. And that's why you see him in that moment where he's basically in pain and agony, because now guess what? You know what? This is what you're going to get. If you never freaking did all this to begin with, I tried to help you. Yoichi tried to help you. And guess what? Now guess what? You're going to be left alone. And for that's the ultimate pain and suffering of the fact that now I think he realized, I fucked up. I actually love my brother. Because he even did say, like, I love you. And now guess what? Now he's left all alone in pain and suffering because of his actions. Right? So that's the whole thing. And then you get this moment between Deku and Shigaraki in the Vestige world, right? Also, Yoichi does say, like, look, he gave, Deku gave as much of the quirk, it's not only he can continue to fight, but The fact that it gave us to come back and help out. And you do get this one shot where, they both, Deku's punched from the outside, they're again punched from the inside. Great shot, right? And they focus on Shigaraki because Shigaraki was the guy that was obviously wrong by All for One, so it makes sense. Again, you get the last bit of the episode where Deku's talking to Shigaraki, and their fists are basically fisting each other, right, like that. And basically, that's when they have a talk. And Shigaraki's basically telling Deku, like, hey, I didn't do what I needed to do. I didn't destroy and everything, right? But Deku responds to that, and he's like, look, I can't forgive you for what you've done. But, I won't deny you did not you did destroy. You did what you set out to do. And I think what Deku was referring to is Shigaraki was a guy that was wronged by the old era of hero civilization, of the hero code, of hero society. That's the way. He was a person, like many people, that were wronged by the current status of hero society, where somebody wasn't willing to take his hand and they neglected him. And by neglecting him, it turned him into a villain. So I believe the reason why Deku said, no, you did destroy. And I think Deku, what he's saying is, no, you destroyed the old era. You destroyed the old hero society. I'll be the one to lead this new hero society. So for the better. So when there is somebody that needs to take somebody's hand, I'll do that. Shigaraki also does confess, is like, you were right. I was nothing else more than just a crying child. He then tells Deku, hey, tell Shigaraki, or tell when when you see Spinner, tell him I said this. And hold on, I wanna make sure I get this right. To make sure I have this right, if my episode thing will load, for crying out loud. Because it's not loading up. He said, tell Spinner Tomura Shigaraki fought to destroy it until the very end. And Deku says, sure, I will do that for you. Shigaraki basically vanishes into nothing because he's dead. And basically, the skies part. Deku makes the skies part. It was cloudy, overcast, and everything. Deku clears the skies with that one attack. It's blue skies again. Everybody can be happy about the blue skies. I hope nobody's bitching either about the blue skies. Finally, the one season where it's finally dark and overcast. Jesus, man, we lived in a time when people were complaining back in season 6. Why are they fighting in the blue skies? Jesus. Now you finally get your darker moment. Anyways, Deku parts the skies. The skies is blue. Everybody looks up and they see Deku, hand raised, right? As the episode concludes, as the episode ends. And the final battle is over. Deku has saved the world. Like, you even get a moment in this episode where the United States is like, send all the heroes we got to Japan. And basically, the dude is like, I guess the vice president is like, but what? He's like, no, we need to do this. We need to overcome. And I guess the U.S. president realized, and seeing what Deku's efforts did, right? It only inspired him to act on it and say, no, we can't surrender. You got to keep going. And you see, not only did Deku just change all these characters he's come across, many of these characters he's come across, Deku, for all intents and purposes, inspired and is literally gonna change the entire world. Hero Society is gonna be clearly different after this. After looking at this fight and saying, because everybody's gonna be like, we can't have another Shigaraki happen again. And also on top of it too, it's like, now with Deku losing his quirk, we won't have somebody to rely on. Deku was the last person where it's like, no, this is the last time we need to rely on somebody for help. Now, together, we all got to be better heroes. And you'll see in the final epilogue chapters how much society is going to change for the better. And that's strictly due to Deku. And that's why Deku is the greatest hero, or why he says he is the greatest hero of all time. It isn't because he's number one. It isn't because he's the strongest hero, because trust and believe. I know what's going on in the current manga or in the current stuff and everything. People are complaining the fact of, oh, blah, 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 man. You guys will see. And there's obviously an ongoing critique with people, how they hated, how the ending happened, and yada, 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 where Deku's status is and things like that. And you guys will see for anime onlys. But for people who don't understand, when Deku says he became this is the story of how he became the greatest hero. It wasn't, oh no, he's gonna be the number one hero. It isn't, he's gonna be ranked number one and he's the strongest hero of them all. No, he's the greatest hero because he did something that not even All Might could do. And that's change society. That's change the world. And change it for the better. Because that's something All Might didn't do. Yeah, he saved the world countless times. He stopped All for One countless times. But it didn't change society. It didn't change anything. It didn't change all the neglect we saw time and time again. It didn't change how heroes view doing their jobs. That's why dudes like Hero Killer Stain was out there killing heroes, because most heroes focused on their popularity. They focused on the money. They ain't focused on doing the hero stuff. Deku is the guy that will change that. He's the guy that's going to get those heroes that only cared about making the money or popularity reasons to do the hero thing and reach out their hands and help out somebody that may be lost on their way. That's what Deku means by this is the story of how I became the greatest hero. Because he's going to change not only Japan and how their hero dynamics are, he's going to change the entire world of how heroes need to be heroes. And yet you have some dumbasses that will continue to say, oh, but why is he not number one? Why is he not considered the strongest? Because they're ignorant dudes, because they look at this as a battle shonen. And they believe, oh, well, if you're a battle shonen, you gotta be like Goku. You gotta be the strongest in the series. Well, yes, in a typical battle shonen like Dragon Ball Z, Goku's going to be the strongest. But this is the type of battle shonen here where it's not only just fighting, but it's about the entire society. And that's why Deku is the greatest hero of all time in this series, or in this universe. Because he's the guy that will effectively change how hero society goes on for the future and stuff like that. So I'll continue to talk more about that point, especially when the series concludes, because that's just something I just have to get off my chest, because that is a complaint. That is a complaint of the series for people who are manga only readers, who are manga readers, that a complaint about Deku. I won't go into details, but you'll see. So, regardless, great, phenomenal episode, great, phenomenal final battle, 10 out of 10 episode. And now we come up with the epilogue. So next week will be the Hellish Todoroki family, and that will conclude the Todoroki family storyline, and you'll get your conclusions with them next week. So we only got a few more episodes left to go. I don't know if my co-host will be on the channel next week, because he might still be in Mexico, because it will still be Thanksgiving, well, post Thanksgiving week, but you know, that's right then and there. So yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Catch you guys in the next video. Till then, guys, Stay safe out there. Hit that subscribe button. Excuse me. If you want to get more My Hero Academia content or any other anime content I upload to the channel. But till then, guys, peace.